So in 2006, before I got here, Geoffrey Canada came down to the school to talk about the Harlem Children's Zone. People got really interested in that concept. It fit well for Baltimore.
What we're attempting to do is to work in one community, Upton Druid Heights, and we are beginning at the very beginning of life, and we're developing a pipeline of services.
A lot of conversations about where it should be and how we would partner with all the major institutions. And then finally, I decided, in concert with Bronwyn Maiden, who had joined me by then, that we really ought to just put our stake in the ground in West Baltimore.
This neighborhood, Upton Druid Heights, is at one point in time was the premier African American community in this city. In the 1940s, this community was known as the home of Thurgood Marshall. Was born here and went to school here. You know, Billie Holiday lived here at one point in time. It was a neighborhood where the civil rights movement got a lot of its legs, because we have 5 historic African American churches here that are still here.
But this church has been always actively engaged in community development, economic development, social justice, civil rights. And so we're just proud now to work in partnership with the University of Maryland School of Social Work as we advance the mission of Promise Heights, where every young person within this community can have a good education and educational opportunities.
This neighborhood has about 10,300 residents. About a third of those are children, and about 2/3 of those children live in or below the poverty line. The residents live mostly in 2 locations, one being McCullough Homes, which is a public housing development, and the other being a row of Section 8 apartments that travel down Pennsylvania Avenue. The income level for McCullough Homes is somewhere around $13,000 per family, and in the Section 8 apartments it's somewhere around $9,000 per family. So there's a great need in terms of poverty and resources that those families are in need of.
Well, you know, our goal is to really serve all the children in the 4 schools in this particular neighborhood. We have 2 elementary schools, Furman L. Templeton Prep Academy, which is a program or a school that starts with pre-K. We have early Head Start in there, and then it goes all the way up from children can come and register at that school from 2 years of age, and we keep them all the way through the 5th grade. We also have the historic Samuel Coleridge Taylor Elementary School, and we're doing a similar model there. The 2 schools are only 2 blocks apart. And so you can go to that school again from really 3 years of age all the way up through the 5th grade. Then we have Booker T. Washington Middle School for the Arts, which is our middle school. And so children, we're serving them 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And then Renaissance Academy is our high school, and that's children from the 9th grade all the way through the 12th grade. We have what's called the Judy Center that helps parents with children 0 to 5. And it does a lot of the same things, but it's located in the 2 public schools. And then from the Judy Center, we have our rest of our early childhood programs. And that might include we have a mental health consultant that works with children in pre-K and kindergarten, as well as their parents and the administration.
I think that we all need to recognize that it's a long-term problem which requires a long-term solution. So nothing is going to change overnight. And we even have to have these discussions with funders when they're looking to fund our programs, is that you're not going to see a whole school turn around in 3 months or 6 months. It might take at least a year, and it might take 2 years or 3 years, but to be vigilant and to be willing to stay on track.
So what the school started doing from the very beginning was trying to figure out how we could identify resources on the campus and bring in new resources to to Promise Heights. Much of that has involved grant writing and raising funds from foundations, from the city, from the Family League, from the state of Maryland, and then finally some federal grants to support this work.
There is no one agency that can really solve all these problems. So we're able to bring partners to the table that have expertise, let's say, in a specific area.
Before we started to address the academic component, we knew that there are some hierarchy needs that needed to be met, such as food, shelter, and things of that nature. So we partnered with the University of Maryland School of Social Work, where we have social work interns coming in to work with our student population.
This area is one that has very high rates of asthma, childhood asthma. What we know about asthma is that children miss a lot of time from school, they end up in the emergency room, and then the costs are through the roof in terms of our healthcare costs. We decided that if we could partner with the University of Maryland Medical Center and get their asthma van, or it's called Breathmobile, it's an asthma clinic on wheels that could come into the community. They provide free exams, medication, they check medication, they make sure that the young people and their families are using the medication correctly. So we felt that we wanted to put in social workers that had those skills, knew community resources, but also there are great mental health needs in our communities. And what we're beginning to see is that the schools are a natural place to come and to obtain help. But we also, because of these social workers, are on site every school day, because that's where their office is and they work out of the schools. They're able to go and observe children in their classrooms. They're able to give some teaching tips and techniques to teachers in terms of what they're seeing and some suggestions.
And in 2011, Upton Druid Heights was listed as either 53rd, 54th, or 55th in almost every single ranking. The life expectancy for Upton Druid Heights is about 62 years of age, and the life expectancy for the #1 neighborhood in Baltimore City, which is Roland Park, is about 82 years of age. So that's about a 20-year difference. And so clearly the residents in Upton Druid Heights are well below the residents of almost every other neighborhood in the city.
Promise Heights is very important to us. One of our key targets is, of course, the historic Samuel Coleridge Taylor. We've been involved in that. We were a part of its award-winning grant for its $1 million library. We've been involved with having Head Start and early Head Start programs there, childhood learning centers, and we've been a good partner with them.
So I think that tells us we're going in the right direction. So I would say, you know, when we're getting ready to build a playground, which the community doesn't have, I am so excited about that because we're beginning to see changes to the physical environment and not just to what's happening to the schools. And the playground will be open to all the kids in the community. You know, the problems are just too great for one agency to solve all of these problems. And because of the Promise Neighborhood, we're able to bring in about 20 partners that come to the table, and we look at a variety of goals and outcomes, and we figure out what's the best way that we can reach those goals.
I think the first things that we're really trying to do are to try to change some of the climate aspects in Promise Heights. So when I talk about improving the climate, I mean the climate of parenting, for example, to help parents understand how to be more successful, have more fun with their children, avoid some of the harsh parenting strategies that we all may succumb to but often don't work.
We are not looking to change wholesale the footprint of the neighborhood. What we're looking to do is to help those families move along in that neighborhood and progress perhaps from public housing to Section 8 housing to private rental.
So one of the things that we want to do is not just help people remember the community and the wonderful things that went on here, but also is to reclaim the community from some of the traumas that we see that urban America is really now facing.